MarkChuCarroll says, I have been working on a project for more than 2 years and I just finally finished it. I'm delighted with the result, but I'm also depressed that it's done. How do you deal with completion depression? Ooh, a little gas there. Completion depression is real. I've totally felt it many times over my creative life. This comes from just the part of the business that is watching yourself do the things that you're doing. What you're experiencing it's kind of can't be avoided. You put your heart and soul and time and energy, so much time into a project over a 2-year period that its absence leaves a void, right? Its completion leaves a genuine void. This project has been a part of your mental landscape. So yeah, there's definitely a grief period at the end of any build that I particularly love. I had a little bit of it at the end of Crouching Tiger Sword, absolutely. But if you watch yourself and you notice as you are noticing that you have this, the thing to realize is to remind yourself is that it's liminal. It's here now, but it's going to be gone soon. I'm going to quote Rilke again. I love this. There's a set of letters from the poet Rainer Maria Rilke to a young fan poet who wrote to him over the years. And Rilke counsels this young poet at one point who's describing a romantic breakup that's left him really bereft. And Rilke says, I think that we find our moments of sadness terrifying because we find ourselves standing in a place we cannot remain standing. He says, the past has left us and the future has not yet taken hold. This is a very specific translation of Letters to a Young Poet. There's several. This one's my favorite. He says, the past has left us, but the future has not yet taken hold. That is the definition of a liminal space. You are just there for a period of time. And he says, he counsels the young poet, it is important to be lonely and attentive when you are sad. Lonely and attentive. I think John Kabat-Zinn, who brought mindfulness to the West, arguably, would say paying attention. Lonely and attentive, paying attention is a form of meditation. Meditation is a form of paying attention. And Rilke then says, if you are lonely and attentive to the sadness when it's happening, and you recognize that you're in this liminal space, and you can exist within that tension, Rilke says that's when the future happens in you. I said a couple of weeks ago, I was quoting Baba Ram Dass, and saying that only total despair really precedes a genuine change in consciousness. And I think of this as part of the same mechanism, is that you're in that sad state and you're not trying to assuage it or drink it away. You are, don't get me wrong, those are fine coping mechanisms, and I'm here for all of the coping mechanisms. In my life, I occasionally eschew coping mechanisms in order to do some real self-examination about what's happening. And when I am lonely and attentive in those moments, I agree with Rilke. I think that is when the future takes hold. And Rilke even says, later on, it will seem to come from outside. But it really happened in that moment that you were paying attention to the sadness. Oh. cyberpunkmodsdotcom says, what is the biggest missed opportunity you would want to redo? Want to redo. So I don't know that when an opportunity comes up and I miss it, that I think, oh, I hope I get to do that someday. Certainly there's a little bit of it. I'm just remembering this moment about 10 years ago that it's not worth dropping names here, but basically like one of my favorite directors who I knew a little bit was having dinner with another director. It was one of my all-time favorite directors. And the two of them invited me to join them and I could not go. That was sad. I was sad about that one. Okay, let's see here. Brian Baker, since we've been talking about what is art and what is creativity, Brian Baker says, is creating a destructive art as much as a constructive one? Isn't the act of cleaning up as much of the act of creation as much as anything else creators do? The act of returning the space to status quo so we can begin anew the next time? Yes, it is. But that process isn't always physical. The cleaning up of the shop may be a mental exercise. It may be a wiping of the previous parameters exercise. And in response to MarkChuCarroll's "What do I do with this sadness?" Clean the space. Do some infrastructure on the space. I find that if I do, at the end of a project, if I'm in my right mind, I do a nice shop cleanup. I do a really nice shop cleanup, and then I work on some part of the shop, like I rebuild a shelf or a little rack that needs. There's never not something I know I could deal with in the shop in terms of infrastructure. So I do one of those things, clean up the shop, and I gotta say, coming in like on the next Monday, it's very generative, the feeling of walking into a clean shop in which I've addressed some of its flow issues. Is creating a destructive art as much as a constructive one? I mean, I think it's funny. I'm getting caught up in the wording because in the physics standpoint, Jamie used to describe what we do as we take large things and make them smaller in precise ways. We take chunks of stuff and make them smaller in precise ways and then join in with other chunks of stuff we've done the same operation to. But like, yeah, you don't get one without the other, right? You don't get creation without destruction. Unfettered creation is cancer. Unfettered destruction, well, we're seeing what that's like right now. But you can't have one without the other. And so the other thing is that like totally in my process, I am constantly destroying things' original purpose to reuse them for some other new purpose. But that's just within my frame. I'm thinking about this in terms of like creative writing, composing music, other dance, other places. And I actually would just love to hear thoughts of people who have really different disciplines than mine to talk about their mitigating strategies there. Because that's like, not mitigating strategies, just like your thoughts about that. I'm really curious. Because I do think of like, when I'm really trying to think up, I'm working on a form factor for a carrying case right now. And the kind of case I'm interested in is something that shows up in movies a lot, but not in the real world very much. And I'm trying to come up with a point of view on this. But in doing so, I'm also trying to shed my point of view on the ways in which I thought it should be. And I think of shedding my previous opinions as a destructive act, right? Not destructive necessarily, but I am attempting to sort of see through the weeds of my own bias. Oh, okay. So a few weeks ago, I took my old workbench cover, this is what remains of it, and I cut out 100 key fobs from this, and we tested members were able to get those, and we sold out very quickly. I'm sorry if you're just hearing about it for the first time right now. It will happen again, but not for a couple of years. clanreignfire got one of these keychain tags and says, for those of us that recently purchased a keychain tag, do you have any ideas or recommendations in terms of giving it a protective coating? So to be clear, this is a piece of 8-ounce veg-tanned Latigo that sat on my workbench for 6 years. So you can see this deep, deep, deep patina, or patina, if you're from other countries. I want to put it on my keys, but sometimes they get wet from the rain, so I don't know if there's something we could do to seal the tag from the elements or not without altering the wonderful patina it has. Okay, what I'm going to say to you is I want it to have the patina of your use as well. I think you can put this on your keys, and I think that it'll be fine. It'll gather the patina of your pocket and your life and your car and your bicycle, and that's That to me is the key tag fulfilling its purpose. Now, you may have, some of you watching this may have a piece with like a little, you know, where a cut happened and it's bending and you're afraid that that will actually maybe wear itself away and start to separate. If that happens, I want you to take some wax twine and a big needle and actually throw a little stitch through there. Like, if you have to do some mitigation to keep the key tag together, that's also part of its narrative. So please don't think that I delivered it to you with a single narrative. I delivered it to you with mine, but now that it is your keychain tag, it is yours to add whatever narrative you want. I sometimes have open houses in here where I'll bring out a bunch of props and I'll talk to people about them and they get to touch them. And I say, I want you guys to touch everything. And if you drop it and break it, I'll fix it because I've probably already dropped it and broken it. But the thing that I want is I want everything in this room covered with the patina of your enthusiasm. And that really is a marvelous patina or patina. I'm going to do one more little coda here. Shadowfax wants to know if there's any chance that you guys will see me and Dave Fogler of Synodrome, if we're going to hang out on screen again. The video of you two scratch building remains one of my favorite tested videos. I love watching Dave's content ever since. We'll include a link to his channel in the description. He's got a wonderful, beautiful channel. He was just here this week. We were hanging out and making plans to hang out again. So yes, I think if I can say one thing about the coming year is that there's going to be even more collaborations. You've seen a lot of collaborations this year. They've been really rewarding. We've had some marvelous people come through the shop. I love the vibe when we have people come through. I love learning from other makers. I love surprising them with this space. So there'll definitely be more collaborations, and absolutely Fogler and I will be building some stuff at some point. And same thing with Fawn Davis, who's also going to be part of that plasma pool. I want some more model making on the channel this year. Okay.
Thank you for watching. I wanted to talk to you about Tested membership. The Tested members are a key community that we find really, really remarkable. That's very separate from Tested and from YouTube. The Tested members, they buy each other memberships during our live streams. So if you're wondering whether to become a member, watch one of our live streams and someone may just give you one. It is hard to overestimate how much the Tested members actually make possible on this channel. They give us a lot of wiggle room. They give us a huge amount of feedback.
That's a member right now.
Thank you so much for enjoying your membership. Description for everything you need to know. And for all the members out there, thank you, thank you, thank you.